Hello, welcome to Access. My name's Nathan Dighton. One of the greatest gifts given to us by games is the ability to travel without ever leaving home. Now we're in an age of truly not rubbish graphics. Each PlayStation disc or cluster of downloaded data represents a portal into another world, often incredible, fully realised worlds filled with staggering architecture, exotic landscapes, and sunsets that make the real thing look like a football that someone set on fire over there. And so in honour of that football, we present a list of the 10 PlayStation 4 places you must visit before you die, because it will be very hard to do so afterwards. Our first entry could have been any number of places, from the planet-spanning science fiction epic Destiny, the view of the gently turning Earth as seen from the cold, still surface of the Moon as fragments of satellites spider their way through orbit, or the frightening size of the Dreadnought, a ship with the scope of Arthur C. Clarke's Rama and the thrusting organic style of Alien designer H.R. Giger, which also has a sweet view of the solar system. These kinds of places, dripping with a history we haven't lived yet, a rise and fall of mankind to come, are found all over Destiny. But our favourite is the Cosmodrome, a grand rusted space yard in old Russia, which is like a last stand of humanity's golden age. Not only does it look incredible, with frozen pink horizons, those skyboxes that look like cut and pastes from actual heaven, but it tells a sad, violent story. One of empty cars stacked and broken by the entrance wall, opposing tanks stopping the stampede of evacuees, and one last unlaunched colony ship, a lonely, fading reminder of our proud and broken past. For the best view of the whole sombre scene, climb this tower found in the Taken King expansion and look around slowly, thinking, ooh. Next we have what is basically the best treehouse of all time, the Ewok village on the forest moon of Endor in Star Wars Battlefront. Some Star Wars fans maintain that the Ewoks, the sort of children-sized cat people fighting the Empire with twigs and innocence in Return of the Jedi, were the first sign of George Lucas's impending rubbishness. But only a monster could see the terrified, furry face poking out of his wooden door during a game of Walker Assault and think anything other than warm thoughts. Aww, look at him. He's so cute, isn't he? I mean, obviously, you're going to try and shoot him as well to see how flammable the Ewoks are in the name of science, but basically, they're great. Other things that make Battlefront's recreation of the moon such a massive fan-servicing triumph include how faithful and amazing the shield generator bases are, the way the trees crash to the ground during moments of heavy gunfire, and the way the game has got the look and feel of speeder biking through the giant redwoods, basically like you're being sucked through a massive green tube of speed and excitement and could die randomly at any moment, absolutely dead on. Throw in a picturesque view of the sky over this calming lake. Picturesque views of the sky are going to be a theme in this video, and the forest moon becomes a unique and near perfect cinematic recreation. The city of Los Santos in GTA 5 is so impressive, so busy and thriving and full of people and the things they've built that we don't even have a favourite part. The whole thing is an incredible achievement that we keep coming back to. We made a video where I rode around the real life LA to see how accurately GTA had captured the city, the answer being really accurately, and another where we ate hallucinogenic drugs and became a bird that flew around the streets at night to sad music. Which actually reminds me that I do have a favourite part of Los Santos, and it is the sky. As much as the streets are full of traffic and noise and the people living their realistic lives, the city is best seen from above, where it can be taken in all at once. You don't have to be a bird to do this, you can also get a taxi to the airport and steal a plane, a reminder of the brilliant and unlikely range of GTA's freedom, or use a cheat to spawn a helicopter and land on a building. Then you can take selfies, look out at the roads or the lights on the pier and the ocean, and then probably get bored and jump off, and it will all be brilliant. From somewhere very big to somewhere at least symbolically small, the tucked away English village of Yorton from this year's indie tier Draenor Everybody's Gone to the Rapture is a masterclass in observation, sense of place, and making people who are 34 years old feel nostalgic and terrified all at once. In a way, Yorton was always likely to make the list because Rapture is such a unique intersection of things that I really like a lot. It's set in 1984, that dystopic X on the literary calendar, and gives us one of those quiet apocalypses that British science fiction writers like John Wyndham and John Christopher did so well in the post-war period, where everything turns to ash and death, and British people do the gardening and make tea until their skin falls off. To see this genre I love clash with my own childhood memories of Cold War paranoia and the low-level thrum of, ooh, maybe we'll be annihilated today, means I was primed to love this place even before it pulled off a beautiful and keenly detailed recreation of small England. The pub, the pylons, the village politics, and of course, the rain. Yorton is as English as saying sorry or wishing we had a better national anthem, a remarkably small place in which remarkably big things happen. A theme of Britishness runs through our next game too, even though it's set in space in the future and not in Britain at all. Except Sevastopol, the worn, abandoned space station from Alien Isolation, sort of is in Britain. In contrast to the shooting and Hollywood noise of Alien's colonial marines, Isolation is a very deliberate return to the cold and practical futurism of Ridley Scott's original Alien movie, which, like Star Wars and 2001: A Space Odyssey, was shot in England using practical effects. It gives those movies and this game a sense of setting and a particular look. Fat button consoles, pale hexagonal corridors, a vision of the future as old already and, lest we forget, infested by a predator so deadly it literally couldn't touch you with any part of its body without drawing blood. The Witcher 3 might be PlayStation 4's premier stand on a hillside at sunset and pose yourself heroically against the fading light simulator, but that's not the only reason to include it here. It's a fantasy landscape right out of the Tolkien, Lewis, things I grew up reading in my bedroom tradition, with a welcome dose of Polish folktale and countryside thrown in. It's also completely huge. I've narrowed this entry down to Velen and Novigrad, the starting area of the game once it really gets started, and considering that ridiculous size, just illogically beautiful, full of gentle waving grass, icy blue water, and rolling fields under a warm sun. Which is all fine and will keep you in selfies for a few hours at least, but the real trick of The Witcher 3 is that the land has unusual depth. There's an incredibly varied sense of environmental character, veering into noxious bogs, dangerous caverns and haunted islands, and it's teeming with believable people living small, believable lives with their own problems. It's a recipe for extraordinary immersion, and when you start hitting the towns, the grand bridge and battlements of Oxenfurt, then the sprawling, it's hard to believe this is real streets of Novigrad, it's almost overwhelming, especially if you think about there being a whole other set of islands still to come in the game. So don't think that. Have a trot about on your horse, go sailing for a bit, and get back to the sunset. There, that's better. Dunwall is a dying place that's alive with contrasts and conflicts. A cobbled industrial city on the verge of a technological revolution, Dunwall resurrects Victorian London in order to stage an alternate timeline clash of culture and class, of rich against poor, science versus superstition, and whether to kill people sneakily or with flames and magic. So we get rat-infested slums with diseased unfortunates left dying in tenement doorways, alongside docks housing the whaling ships powering the surge in progress. We see the steely apparatus of Dunwall's brutal police state, and then finally, the plush homes and lavish feasts the cruel whaling trade pays for. It's a world of rich, often grotesque detail, and being super mean to whales. An intelligent, evocative parallel reality. Sticking with the theme of skewed Victorian London, our next essential PS4 location is Bloodborne's steepled Gothic labyrinth of Yharnam. Having done European medieval fantasy with something approaching perfection, first in Demons then Dark Souls, here From Software switched to a Hammer horror skyline with an intricate, intimidating architecture of arches and looming towers. As with From Software's other games, Yharnam is a maze, not just of shortcuts and unlocked routes, but of meaning and metaphor. The story is embedded in the buildings, items and interactions your hunter finds along his path, and your rising frenzy is reflected in the repetition of running through areas over and over again as you level, die and restart. As your hunter slowly loses his grip on reality, so does the world itself until, spoilers, it erupts into a full-on the sky has died and everything is wrong now Lovecraftian hell on earth. And you wouldn't want to miss that. Sticking with the Gothic theme for the last on our list, if San Andreas is a realistic translation of Los Angeles, then Batman Arkham Knight's Gotham City is a dark cartoon exaggeration of its East Coast counterpart, New York. Here the city that never sleeps has become a permanent night, one lit up by fizzing neon, ominous uplighting, and a supermoon that would have the residents of Yharnam chewing their own arms off. It's a dark, slick statue of a city, stacked with various styles fighting for attention in its crowded vertical pile. competing bursts of Art Deco optimism, exposed steel industry and boarded up tenements. It captures the grim, shadowed world of Batman perfectly, and he gives us the best way to see it, swooping and gliding from above, circling the city he protects in the moonlight, looking down on the glittering detail below. And that is our list of the 9 places you must visit on PlayStation 4. Let us know what places we've missed out, probably Final Fantasy XIV and the Order 1886 for a start, and also let us know what other subjects you'd like to see covered in features like this. Do like this feature if you liked this feature, and subscribe to the channel because we have got loads more coming up.